Good time of the day, you all. It's morning here, and for now at least, sirens have stopped, so there is no bombing. And a good night's sleep and quiet night is something to appreciate actually. When the siren goes on, you have very small margin for mistake and even smaller margin for thoughts. You must act very automatically. So I wake up, I push my kid that sleep with me, I go to my little girl bedroom, I pick my daughter, take her on my shoulder. My oldest daughter already woken up, so she's out, and we running down the stairs to the second floor. Since we live in the 4 stories building, the top floor are the most exposed to missiles, either a direct hit, or when the missile is shut down, you have the shrapnel, the missile pieces that are flying all over and can basically take the half of the story down or make a lot of damage, and you don't want to be there when shit is flying around you. So this is the reality I live in now. I don't know each and every night how many times will I wake up and I will need to take my kids and run down, run up, them to sleep, lie in bed and simply listening. Because if you are familiar with Nassim Taleb's Black Swan or Black Swan theory, I actually fear not the sirens, because then I have certainty as much as I can have what is about to happen and how much time do I have. I worry about the silence. Now the silence is frightening me because I have no idea whether is a missile flying that skip the radars, there is no silent, and it's just going to end whatever is and whenever. Eventually you fall asleep, and then the moment you hear you wake up and you act. Which brings me to kettlebell. So when the sirens goes on, the margin for thinking, for thoughts to get into your head is very small, because the moment you let them, basically you're 50% dead, because you get stuck in the thoughts, when it's going to end, God, why me, why the hell my mom brought me to Israel instead of immigrating to some other normal country, when, why, so like many thoughts, thinking like about your fate, getting pity on yourself, thinking what if one of my kids get injured on one, the missile will hit the room of my oldest daughter, and what if. So you learn to filter, okay? Thoughts like kinda go by you like the scenery from the train. If you ride the train and you look out of the window, like it simply floats. When you practice kettlebell sport, it's the same mechanism. So you have 2 bells racked on you. The margin for thinking like this, oh my god, it hurts, oh shit, will I be able to finish those 10 minutes? Damn, it's only minute 4, I have 6 minutes left. How can I hold this goddamn pace? It's too high, it's too heavy, my heart rate, my muscles, etc. The only chance to live through it is just act. Is doing the 4 phases of the jerk, let's say the dip, the acceleration, the under dip, the fixation, re-rack, and again, tan, like music, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, pam. And then it kind of goes parallel. Your inner perception of what might happen and your actual body status that kinda can produce single rep and again. And then the clock stops and you putting the bell down, because in kettlebell practice the ethics is not to put the kettlebell down until the end of the set. Even if you stand with them and breathe, Even if you drop your pace to 3 repetitions, no one cares. It's here. You're practicing what is here. I rack the bells. I'm not going to place them down until the clock ends. So this is why I refer to it as the way of the sword. And you're actually practicing Zen when you lift kettlebells. Now it's funny because originally kettlebells are not Russian. They're Asian. They was born in the Shaolin temple and they live there ever since. They just called a brick lock. Okay, the same tool that Chinese use to transfer the energy. And originally in Russia, and I'm talking about the 18th century, it was a tool, so the urban legend says, to train soldiers, to bring soldiers back alive to their families. Because when you practice kettlebell, you practice merely performing the action with no thinking, because it's the only thing that can save your life. This automatic ability to disconnect and to perform. Now, whoever listening to me now and served knows what I'm talking about. When you go in, you must be kind of like a robot. You must do stuff, and if you want to get back. The moment that you let the thoughts creep in, like you have that, you are very exposed. Same in the kettlebell. Okay, you're exposed to the risk of like you giving the thought, oh damn, I'm tired, and then you feel, okay, it's self-fulfilling prophecy. You kind of feel tired, beaten up, and boom, and you're placing the bells down. Which brings me again to periodization. So what I'm doing now, each and every night, I'm doing interval training. Seriously, think about it. The siren goes on, I jump, I grab, I run, I stay, I run back, I cool. Okay, so they picks, boom, boom. So I'm doing interval training. In periodization language, it is called intensive and extensive loading. Each periodization, now it's a big topic and I'm trying to be very small here because I don't want to take too much time of your attention. So when you practice, you're switching between the extensive period, and extensive means loading, okay, going wider, lighter, slower, basically exposing your body, your physiology to the stress, letting your body accumulate stress, get used to the stress. Then you switch to the intensive phase, where it is like close to the, let's quote unquote, competition. In my case, the actual life preservation, when you need to perform very quickly and very precisely. So this is how periodization works. So now I'm in the intensive phase, doing intervals on off the stairs. How it is relating to kettlebell? Very simple. When you practice kettlebell, especially I'm talking now about Kettlebell Sport as a tool, not as an end. The extensive, okay, the loading phase, you basically running sets above 10 minutes, not at the same time, okay? It is an intensive. So I can do 4 sets of 3 minutes, which is 12 minutes in total. I can do 3 sets of 4 minutes with various weights. I can do 3 sets of 5 minutes. It's 15 minutes. It's 5 minutes more than the classic 10-minute set. But I'm exposing my body, and I obviously work with lighter weights, with a bit higher tempos. I'm exposing my body. I'm exposing my psychology, okay? I'm toughening, I'm conditioning my mental and my mind state to endure higher times. I get used to the clock of 8, 7, 9 minutes. Okay, I'm not freaked by it. Then when the loading ends, the extensive period ends, I'm switching to intensive, where I'm getting close to the competition reality, where my sets are fewer, longer, with the exact weight I'm going to compete, and there I'm pushing. So I'm preparing myself, I'm practicing the actual state where I'm going to be it an event, my home training, I'm doing a set, whatever. And I switch. How you switch? The topic is vast. I can give you the rule of thumb of 4 weeks, 4 weeks. Okay, it's a classic template. The powerlifter use it. It works well with kettlebells too. The overall period for kettlebell training is about 8 weeks. Okay, so you're picking 8 weeks, you rest, and then you basically resync or redesign your cycle. Now, it's very general. As I said, there are many templates and they're very personal. So here you go. I hope it helps a little bit on Sirens, Kettlebells, and periodization as I promised. Now the parting word, I want to speak about war in general and the situation. I'm a father. I love my kids. I do live in Israel. And all I want is a peaceful night, go to work, to the thing I love, meaning coaching people, training people, helping people get better. Go back to my family, eat dinner, watch some serials, some cartoons, movies, play with my kids, go to sleep, and just repeat the cycle. There is a guy, let's call him Saeed, who lives in Gaza Strip, lives somewhere in Palestine, who has 3 kids, like me. And Saeed wants the same thing. So me and Saeed, as father who loves their children, couldn't care less about politicians who are dealing with their own egos and playing the Game of Thrones on our expense. Okay, the folks with kids who just want to live. So there is not a, it's not about the conflict, because there is no conflict. Okay, conflict is produced by people who need to gain from it, and it's shit.